Why teach about economics, business, and behavior? Why teach about economics, business, and behavior? The business world mantra has always been location, location, location. People's attitudes and behavior encouraging them to buy certain goods and services, where to buy them, and where providers of those goods and services position themselves is focused on where. Economic activity in a community, region, or country is a key factor in their overall viability and health. Thus, these topics are intertwined and should be taught in tandem. Furthermore, patterns of economics, business, and behavior occur across multiple scales, from global supply chains to why businesses locate in specific neighborhoods to personal consumption preferences. Thus, all are spatial phenomena and issues. Why do some businesses form chains while others operate out of a single location for decades? What forces make a business expand or contract? Why have some gone totally online? Some have an online and physical presence, and some exist only in a physical setting. Spatial thinking extends even to arranging items on individual shelves within a store. Patterns of behavior change across time, across people's lifespans, and across space. Supply chain disruptions of a good or service may affect one town or affect the whole world. Global connections were clearly evident during the COVID-19 pandemic and after recent major natural disasters. Thus, these topics occur at different geographic scales and also have a temporal component. Some behaviors occur once and are done, others are lifetime behaviors. Even those that occur within a single hour, such as buying a pet, have impacts on people's daily behavior for years to come, such as visits to the veterinarian, buying pet food in a store or online, and taking walks with the dog, or dogs plural. Some behaviors are made by the individual, and most are influenced by where individuals were born and raised, advertisements, or the decisions of others. Many economic and behavioral decisions made locally affect faraway people and lands. Consider a phone you have purchased in your own town's store. Its parts were mined and manufactured in many distant lands, assembled, packaged, shipped, distributed, and then made available to you when you purchased it. Patterns of behavior are also tied to cultural heritage and to the physical geography of where people live. To understand people's behavior, marketers and demographers have grouped people into market segments. These are imperfect but useful categories of people with similar lifestyles, incomes, and interests. You will explore some of these, such as tapestry, in this chapter. These categories, of course, change over time as people age, as new products and services become available, and as old products become obsolete. With more than 8 billion humans on the planet, human decision-making has deep impact on the planet's physical systems, including its natural resources, minerals, water, forests, and more. Hence, attention to recycling and sustainable practices in businesses and in economic systems around the world is merited and important. Using GIS in business decision-making is usually termed location analytics. Location analytics. It occurs throughout the business life cycle, from manufacturing or mining to assembly, distribution, and delivery. It includes analysis of people and groups for the purposes of marketing, site selection, profitability, and expansion. It studies supply, demand, competition, behavior, zoning, labor markets, and transportation, with a heavy emphasis not only on current data, but forecasted future trends. Given these interconnections, these topics enable instructors to teach in interdisciplinary ways in geography, sociology, psychology, business, economics, data science, communications, and many other disciplines. To chart a more resilient and sustainable future, a theme of this book, requires students as future decision makers in society to understand geographic aspects of economic and business decision making. If any business does not have a sustainability plan now, they will soon need to develop one. And who better to create that plan for a business than a graduate with spatial thinking and GIS skills? Furthermore, these issues are better understood in tandem with other topics addressed in this book: political situations in areas under study, prominent cultural characteristics, its climate and natural resources, norms of behavior, social justice issues, and others. Students are well served to remember these topics through exploring data presented in this economics, business, and behavior chapter, but also are encouraged to make use of activities in other chapters. They are also encouraged to go beyond this chapter. Let's chat about the use of GIS and how it can enhance instruction about economics, business, and behavior. Teaching about location analytics using GIS is increasing across schools of business in universities as instructors become increasingly aware of connections between GIS and understanding business decisions in our globally interconnected world. These business schools are keen to provide meaningful career pathways for students and see GIS as viable and exciting with excellent growth potential. Sociology courses have long highlighted behavior and norms that change across time and space, but until the advent of modern GIS, much analysis used standalone tools rather than a unifying platform, or were relegated to static tables or maps. Similarly, economics courses have focused on theory because viable hands-on tools have not been available to instructors and students. Theory can be reinforced through modern web GIS tools and data. In addition, many UN Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs, are tied to these topics. Economic conditions have enormous impacts on poverty, hunger, and health. Employment changes impact education and economic progress. Resource allocation and access fosters or lessens inequalities. Behaviors affect industry innovation, work, and economic growth. Global trade and global economies impact consumption and production, affecting inequalities and resiliency of cities. Thus, today is the ideal time to teach about economics, business, and behavior in a geographic context. GIS, I would advocate, makes this an exciting time to do so. Instructors and students have fascinating, growing sets of interactive maps, charts, visualizations, and data sources about the behavior of businesses and individuals. These data sets increasingly include information on spending, on food, housing, clothing, entertainment, pets, and health, including maps, dashboards, and infographics, delivered as interactive maps and web mapping applications. Scatter plots, pie, bar, and other graphics can be created and incorporated into tools that change as the map scale or variable is changed, and thus these graphs, like the maps, become interactive, thanks to the advent of WebGIS. Data encompasses current behavior and is forecasted into the future. Graduated symbol, pie chart, choropleth, and dot density maps of a single or multiple variables can be created. Flow maps of people, vehicles, and supplies focused on real-world applications can be shared, such as the most efficient routing of delivery trucks around a city. Modern GIS offers real-time data on traffic, supply chain disruptions, and other feeds. This chapter will highlight several useful tools and data sets, as you can see in these graphics during this video, modeling ways of teaching in a GIS environment. These useful tools represent just a subset, though, of the ever-expanding set of tools and data available, with the hope that they will encourage students and instructors alike to explore these resources more deeply and in economics, geography, business, data science, and sociology. For example, a question in the activity on citing a business using GIS is, if you were really selecting a site for a car wash as a consultant for this specific type of business, outside of this book, what other data and themes would you need to consider? When examining data on behavior, students need to be critical consumers. The data are rich in scope and detail, derived from surveys and credit card purchases. But like all data on people, they are imperfect. In many places, these types of data are not collected, are not made available, are behind a paywall, or are otherwise restricted, and are likely to remain so for the foreseeable future. However, the types of data are available for a greater number of areas now and in greater detail than ever before. How can GIS be used to teach economics, business, and behavior? How can GIS be used to enhance skill building and inquiry through the use of ever-changing but fascinating data in real-world scenarios? How can teaching these topics with GIS empower students and foster career pathways by using the same tools that business demographics, marketing, and other professionals use every day on the job. Think about the types of businesses in your community. Certain businesses, such as car washes, banks, convenience stores, or food stores, serve a relatively small number of people. People are not willing to travel a long way to these establishments. The walk shed or drive shed of these businesses is geographically small. Other businesses have a larger walk shed or drive shed. Fewer of these exist, such as home improvement stores, appliance stores, or car dealerships. Other businesses have an even larger shed around them. These may be only, for example, one sports stadium or one IKEA store serving a region of 100,000 square kilometers. The distribution of these businesses changes over time as new roads or rail lines are constructed, as the city grows or stagnates, and because of national and global economic forces. The number of businesses also changes over time. With rising online retailing, many clothing stores, florists, toy stores, and others have gone out of business. Even entire international chains. Some businesses may exhibit spatial patterns, clustered, diffuse, along specific roadways, or in certain zoned places in a city. Others may exhibit no spatial pattern at all. Let's explore activities focused on business locations and behaviors. And in this chapter, you will do things, for example, such as examining the distribution of Starbucks coffee locally and around the world, patterns of businesses in a city, car washes versus bail bonds versus check cashing places, median income and median home value and the relationship between those two things, examining the pattern of regional convenience stores, locating an optimal mountain for a ski area, examining behaviors across space, such as book purchases, examining market segmentation zones, and finally, looking at connections between airports, passengers, and cities. These are just a few of the activities that you'll be examining in this chapter. I hope it's inspiring and helps you to think spatially and holistically. Thanks.